Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Lift the Gate with Lift Business Resources, where we have open, honest conversations about breaking down the barriers that keep us from thriving in business and in life. I'm your host, Katie Santoro, and today we're joined by Dominique Luster, the founder of the Luster Company. Dominique is a passionate advocate dedicated to shining a light on the incredible stories of the Black diaspora. With over 10 years in the world of cultural heritage and memory, she skillfully weaves together history and advocacy. After serving as the Teenie Harris activist at the Carnegie Museum of Art, Dominique launched the Luster Company in 2021, driven by her commitment to not just persevere, but also celebrate Black stories. Her TED Talk in 2018 on the power of archives reached audiences around the world, and she has since been featured on popular podcasts such as Archives in Context and Brave Women at Work. In addition, Dominique is a respected keynote speaker at women's leadership conferences, where her inspiring messages resonate with those looking to foster a more inclusive narrative. Dominique, welcome.
Thank you so much.
After reading that, I'm like, oh, I don't even know if I'm qualified to be
I
interviewed.
was like, who is that?
Like, who?
Who are we talking about? Where
You've
did
done
I
a
get
lot. You're
me?
very accomplished. And so you've been a client of ours for a while.
Yes.
So we thought it'd be really fun to just talk about what your experience has been like. Your experience is a little bit different than some of our clients because you have had an assistant go out on leave and then come back and you kind of scaled back and then you scaled up.
Mhm.
So you've really taken advantage of the flexibility, which is great. So let's start with what you do so that we have that context and lens of how your business kind of operates.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. I'm really excited. Mostly because I'm very deeply passionate about my VA, so I'm excited to be here. I am an archivist, which is kind of like a cousin between a historian and a librarian. So we work in history, but we work with historic objects, and we work to preserve and protect and conserve and make accessible historic documents like letters from the 19th century or um, artist sketchbooks from the 1920s. So, or even just like old family photographs or your family Bible or great grandmother's cookbook, things like that, fall within archival work. So, we're working to preserve historic objects so that theoretically 500 years from now, 1,000 years from now, what have you, those things are still exist so that we can tell the story or so that people know what things were like, what we were like in our modern society. So I
Awesome. And then what types of businesses do you work with? Are you working with really big businesses? Are you working with individual families? Are you working with nonprofits? Like, what does that look like?
So they're mostly nonprofits just because of the nature of the world in which archives exist.
Mhm.
So archives of all kinds exist in governments, in states, in private sectors, corporate organizations, nonprofit organizations, libraries, universities. So an archive can exist in many different types of institutions and entities. Specifically, we typically work with nonprofits. That's not a hard and fast rule. It just kind of is where the majority of archives kind of sit. But there are definitely for-profit or corporate or government archives as well. It's just the majority of our clients are libraries, universities, archives, public library systems, museums, things like that. They're fairly large, substantiative institutions that hold an archive within them. Mhm.
Awesome. And so when you came to work with us, what was it that made you realize, like, at what point were you in your business were you like, dang, I need a virtual assistant?
My calendar. That's really what it was. I um I think I just needed an extra set of eyes and hands to kind of help out. The business was very, very new. And for myself, I wasn't the entrepreneur that went straight into entrepreneurship, meaning I did not leave my job one day and then immediately start entrepreneurship the next day. I kind of ramped into it. So I would scale back on my job, my full-time job. Maybe I was working 30 hours a week as I was building the business and then 20 hours a week. And so ramped it.
Mhm.
However, anybody who has ever started a business knows that starting a business is a full-time job.
Mhm.
in addition to trying to have a full-time job, I think it was just a lot to kind of manage, right? Like you're basically 9 to 5, and then in the midst of lunch breaks and after work, you're trying to build something else entirely.
Mhm.
And so there was a point in which you just kind of accept like I can't do it all by myself. And so it's small things like having someone who can help with my calendar
Mhm.
or help with travel arrangements or respond to simple emails, things like that, coordinating of things. That was really where or just small tasks
Mhm.
like social media. I don't really like social media. I don't use it that often, but I understood as I'm growing a business that a digital presence is important. And it's not a skill set of mine. It's something that I can learn and improve, and I'm happy to do that, but it just isn't a skill set of mine yet. And so being able to offset those things with somebody else while I was still at work, like in my regular job, was super helpful.
Yeah. And I identify with that so much. I started my first business, which was a yoga studio. So it was a physical space, which has its own challenges. But I started that when I was working full time in insurance, which, in the insurance world is very emotionally draining. So I'm emotionally drained. I'm talking to people all day. Nobody calls their insurance claims person because
Okay.
something good has happened, right? Something has gone down and they've lost something. So you're dealing with that all day. And then I remember my lunch breaks, I would listen to like podcasts on like
Yeah.
how to build your business. I had no idea what I was doing. And then I'd go home and I'd work for hours on, I was working with a coach and I'm building sales funnels and doing all these different things. And like at one point I hired a virtual assistant
Mhm.
and I didn't know what I needed and I couldn't communicate with her what I needed. I know I paid her. I couldn't tell you what she did for me in those couple of months. Like I have no idea. Because I didn't know how to like clearly articulate what it was that I needed. I just knew that I needed things. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs start by like we're afraid to leave our full-time jobs where, I wasn't married at the time. So I was my own safety net. There wasn't that person to support me. And I was afraid to make that leap. But I tell you, I drove into work every day. I'd like look at my savings account and be like, how long can I live on this savings account? Because I cannot do this forever. And I finally did make the leap. But, you know, knowing that you need help and you can't do it all alone is just it's a good mindset. Not
Yeah.
everybody has that mindset. So I'm glad you made that decision. When did you leave your full-time job?
Technically,
Uh-huh.
January of this year, actually.
Oh, congratulations. I don't think I
Mhm.
knew that. That's
Most
amazing.
people did it.
That's amazing. You should have thrown a party.
I think honestly, I was so inundated with client work that there was no moment of thought. It was just like, we just got to we have meetings to get to. We'll celebrate when we celebrate. But just to go back on the previous point, I would say though that when I first started working with my virtual assistant, I didn't know what I needed. I think I got very fortunate and blessed that I was working with somebody who knew that I didn't know what I was doing or talking about or needed and just kind of did things.
Yep.
And so it took a few months for me to realize what to ask for or to ask for help at all.
Yeah.
Like, that was the other part, was just not feeling comfortable or used to asking for help,
Mhm.
um, or feeling like guilty about that. I don't know what that is, but there was something there that like held, I don't know, there was some hold on the help. But
We
now
like to believe we can do it all. We'd like to believe that.
you know what's interesting? So technically, the Luster Company is are we almost 4 years old? We're a little over 4 years old, and I've been working with a virtual assistant for probably two of those 4 years, something like that. And now I try to do as now I'm like, I can't. I am the bottleneck.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, can we do this? Can you do this? Can you help me with that? Now I'm like the over asker of help. Whereas in the beginning, asking for help was really challenging. I wasn't good at it. Just wouldn't do it. I would just crumble under the pressure.
Yep.
Now I'm kind of like, here, can you help me?
Yeah. We actually the last podcast that we did was on the somatic response to asking for help. And
Hmm.
how it just seems like it feels like a really unsafe place for a lot of us.
Hmm.
And it can kind of manifest like in just like physical stress, just
Yes.
like even asking for it. But I feel like once you build that muscle, I'm the same way. Like I have this project sitting on my desk and last week I got virtual assistant on a call and I was like, let's like I need you to help me do this because I can't do this. Like help
Mhm.
me do it. And she helps me be like that thought partner and build the thing that we need. I want to go back to your other point of like you didn't know what you needed. I
Mhm.
actually had a call the other day with someone and he doesn't know what he needs. And he felt kind of like really embarrassed about it. Like, well, I don't know what I need, so I don't even know where to start. And when I talk to clients or potential clients, I put them into two boxes. We've got, I mean, there's a lot of boxes to put them in, but the two biggest groups is like this is a person who has processes and procedures in place and they know exactly what they need. And we know when we match them with that exact skill set that they need. And then we've got the other ones who have no idea. And there's a lot of people over here. Like you are not the only one. There's a lot of people who are like, I just know I need help. What do I need?
Yeah.
And that's where, our matching shifts a little bit in that because we want to match you with somebody who has a little bit more diversity in their skill set so that they can jump in. And also with the I don't know what I need, we want to match you with I don't want to say a people pleaser, but somebody who really has that drive to serve,
Yeah.
who really wants to like help. Not that the people we would match with, the people who already have their processes in place, but there's a certain type of assistant that has that desire
Yeah.
to really serve and help you build things.
I
Um,
100% agree.
yeah. And you got a really good one. You got a
I
really good
do.
one.
I'm not gonna lie. I am a little biased. It's just because I love my assistant. But I think that as I've grown in this business, I would say that I have learned so a lot of the policies and procedures and the structure that I have now actually comes from working with my assistant,
Mhm.
to be honest.
Yeah.
I've also learned and have worked with a business coach over the past year or so, and books and podcasts and seminars and updated my own education and thinking. But honestly, there is the protection of my calendar. That
Mhm.
is not something that came from me. That is something that came from my assistant. Um,
Mhm.
the idea of boundaries with my clients and my availability to them, that's something that comes from my assistant. And not in these like um, anti-people ways, but just of like, we have stuff to do and stuff to get done. If you're constantly in meetings all day and all night, you're not thinking, you're not resting. Protect your calendar at all costs. There's just these little things that go so far that really help you develop policies, protocols, and procedures that I got from my assistant.
Yeah. Yeah. Little things. And my husband recently accused me of micromanaging myself, which like it kind of hit me really hard. Like we've got a lot going on in life and then in work. And I was like, you know what? I do micromanage myself. Like I really do. I manage my own calendar because
Hmm.
I'm micromanaging myself. And he made the point, he was like, when you have calls, you're not buffering. You're just going from one to the next to the next. And by the end of the day, you're so emotionally depleted and energetically depleted that you can't,
Hmm.
do the things that you love to do, like work out and make dinner and do these things. So you just saying that and like the protecting the calendar, I think that this might be something that I need to give up.
Protect your calendar.
I just had like a mind bending moment where I need to give up protection of my calendar.
I would say what helped me was more or less for the first, there was like 6 months. Like, I don't want to call it cold turkey, but there was like 6 months where I wholesale handed over the calendaring to my assistant,
That
who
just my heart
I
raised.
know,
See
I
that?
know, I know. It did.
Sweating now.
It wasn't fun, I can tell you that. And it takes the right assistant. I will say there is a points where I would try to put something on there and my assistant would be like, "Who told you to touch this? You're breaking it. Who stop. You go do your job.
Yeah,
This is my job. Go away."
yeah.
With love and respect. But she was like, "Go away. You're breaking it. You're double booking things. You're this is the lesson. Accept it."
Hmm.
And now, I actually only take meetings from like noon to 4 every
Hmm.
day.
Hmm.
Now that took a while for us to get there.
Hmm.
We had to take it and only do it for Monday and Tuesday or Monday and Friday and scale it in. But
Yeah.
for about 6 months, I completely handed over the calendaring to someone else
Hmm.
who was not mentally or emotionally attached to my calendar. It
Hmm.
was more of a logistics, practical buffering, back-to-back meetings. multiple types of meetings in the same day, protecting that calendar, knowing that I'm a morning person. I do a majority of my writing, workouts, things like that in the morning. And so shifting those meetings to the afternoon, having somebody else protect my calendar removed the emotions of doing so from myself.
Yeah. And I've held on to it because I feel like I'm the only one who can protect my energy. And I think by trying to protect my own energy, I'm breaking my own boundaries. I'm putting things on my calendar that don't need to be there. And I do like every Sunday I go through and I try to delete two things and be like, I'm not going to that. And there's no reason I need to show up to this, networking group halfway across the city.
Mhm.
So I will take things off, but I've held on to it because I feel like it's an energetic balance. But I will tell you, my assistant, Cassie, who also serves as our lead mentor. So she works directly with me and she does the mentoring and she's fantastic. A lot of our mentoring is indoctrinating into boundaries and not just our boundaries, but how we protect the boundaries for our clients as well. So I'm glad that's showing through. But she serves
Oh,
recently in this really busy season as like almost like a therapist. Like in our last meeting, I was like, I've got this going on, I've got this going on, I've got this going on. And she was like, no, stop doing all of that. Let me take this from you. Let me take that from you. This isn't a priority. I don't even know why you're looking at doing this right now. And she says it in a much nicer and kinder way than I
but you
would.
know what she means.
I know what she means. And she's not just my assistant, like she's a friend. Like we've built this relationship and she's
Mhm.
looking out for my best mental health issue, like interest, like not just like this is from a business perspective, but she's like, I can see that you are struggling right now and I'm gonna help you fix it. Like
Yeah.
just, loving and caring.
Yeah. And sometimes we can't do it ourselves because we're mentally attached to the things
Hmm.
or mentally, emotionally, what have you, attached to it. But
Hmm.
someone who's just approaching it more from this like clinical perspective, they're
Hmm.
just like, man, I don't get like with my assistant, if usually there's an obvious point to the meeting, and if there isn't an obvious point to the meeting, she's like, what is this?
So you don't need to be there.
You
You don't,
don't need to be there. If there's not an obvious point to this meeting, what is this?
yeah.
What is this? Who put this here? Did you put this here? Stop touching stuff.
I love it. It's a good way to protect our boundaries is with an assistant.
Boundaries. I the boundaries that I have are in like client meetings and whatnot are because my system was like, this is insane. This is wild. Why are
Hmm.
you going to this?
Yeah, I love that. I love the like we talk about calendar management a lot. I always look at it energetically. I've never looked at it from like an emotional standpoint. And that's a really interesting way to look at it as well because it's tied, right? Like if I do something that's emotionally draining, it's going to drain my energy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but what is the emotional connection to this event and do I need to be there? And I'm not asking myself those things on my calendar. I'm just like, put it on. I've got 30 minutes, fine.
Yeah. The other thing that I've learned is that if it's not a heck yes, it's a absolutely not.
Hmm. I
You
like
know,
that.
when that something comes on your calendar, in client meetings can be different, but that's something that comes on your calendar and you're like, all right, fine, we'll go.
Mhm.
No, if it's not a heck yeah, it's an absolutely not.
Yeah, I love that. I've got a self-care thing on my calendar tonight and it's really great. It's like a breathwork class and I love doing it and it's really good for me. But looking at my calendar this week, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it because it's a 2 hour class and I've got to get there. It's a 3 hour expedition for me essentially because I'm so far out of the city. But it's not a hell yeah. It is I'm like, oh, it's going to be a lot. I don't know if I can do this and I can do that with it. So I think it's now a no. It's I'm going to take it off. And sometimes taking our self-care off of our calendar is self-care, which is a
Mhm.
really messed up thing to wrap your head
Mhm.
around. But like if getting to that yoga class stresses you out, don't go to that yoga
Don't
class.
go.
Yeah,
Because then what are you gonna do? Be there stressed out?
right. The only thing you should never miss is your therapy appointments.
Right.
Although I have had in the recent past, I've been like, I cannot fit this in today with the other things that I have to do. I'm going to shift it, but you still have to keep it. You have to keep it.
Mhm.
So,
But then I think that is the most critical warning sign.
mhm,
That's when we're reaching like we were in a yellow and now we're reaching red is because we're trying to have to shift or cancel the things that feed us
mhm,
to feed the things that don't.
mhm. Yeah.
I mean, quite literally are pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I have a friend, Tamisha. Tamisha's great. And she is a coach. And this is one of the things she coaches around is like, how to sustainably build a business and be a business owner. But she talks about levers and she talks about kind of like on a soundboard, like you move your levers to like balance things out. And she talks about, when you sometimes you have to like lower your work lever so that you can lift your family lever.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes you need to like lower your second business lever because your first business needs to go up. But then
Hmm.
she talks about the levers that you never move.
Yeah.
And for me, it's my workout time and my sauna time. Like that is my end of the day. I go to my gym. It's off of my bedroom. I work out. I sit in my sauna. That is my non-negotiable. And I've been starting to lower that lever for other things. And if I have to lower that lever to go to sound bath, then I should probably not do the sound bath and I should go back to my non-negotiable lever. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, at least for me, communicating that to my assistant and having them take a more clinical, objective approach, because I can only tell them like, hey, I'm hearing warning signs because I'm shifting and turning down things that feed me.
Hmm.
Help, can you help? And that's that asking for help part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
That really scary at first, but it's worth it.
It really is. It really is. To me, it was. Yeah, I still broke the calendar a little bit, but it's much, much cleaner and better now.
So it sounds like the calendar management was like the number one thing that you really kind of needed help and growth with. What else does and this is a problem, we have a hard time telling people what we do. What else does your assistant do for you?
So she does, it's hard to describe because she does so many things. So she
What do
definitely
I
handles,
say to people? They're like, well, what does a virtual assistant do? And I'm like, well,
it's
I
kind of
think,
hard to describe. So she makes sure that I don't fall over,
okay. Mhm.
first and foremost. She makes sure I don't fall over. And that can look like handling the calendar.
Mhm.
Checking in on various like administrative tasks. So, for example, for our work right now, we are in a place where we're fortunate and blessed enough to offer like small end of year gifts to our clients, for example. It's October, at least at this time, and one of the tasks is like, hey, I am going on vacation. Finally, I'm going on vacation in a couple weeks. While I'm gone, I think it's a good time for us to go ahead and start looking at the end of year client gifts in like late October, early November, so that we can get them purchased, get them here, sign all the documents or sign all the like cards and whatnot and send them out. So
Mhm.
my assistant who has a Canva just skill on the Canva. So she's helping me make these little thank you cards, like thank you for being the best part of the Luster. Like she's helping me make little thank you cards, and get them all printed up. One, I don't have the skills or the design skills. Two, I don't feel like dealing with the printing stuff. So she can mock up and budget it all out, get something like that out into the printer, get it shipped to me, remind me to sign and write all the notes and sign them, send them out, pick all the customer gifts. She is very familiar with our clients. Even if she may not interface with them directly, some she does, some she doesn't, but she's very familiar with all of our projects and all of our clients. And so she's really good at finding intentional, thoughtful gifts that match the desire, the personality of the client that is true to the Luster Company's mission. And so it's kind of this collaborative approach where we just kind of tackle a lot of things as they happen. Sometimes they're seasonal, sometimes it's social media, sometimes it's helping me proofread things. We do a lot of writing and reports and whatnot, and getting them proofread is very helpful. It can look like a lot of things in terms of just the operations of the business. I don't know for a lot of people who've ever worked in academia or nonprofits, and I assume it's this case in corporate America too, but there's always that line at the bottom of the job description that says other duties as assigned.
Hmm.
Like there's all the tasks of the core job description, and then the bottom bullet point is like, and other duties as assigned. My assistant is like the wizard of all other duties as assigned.
Okay. I feel like that's on life too, right? Like you've got to do all these things and then other duties as assigned as they come to you. So she just takes over those little tasks that like something like like Christmas gifts can sit on you so heavy. And I know that sounds like silly, like gift giving is supposed to be really joyful, but when you have to find something intentional, if you're not a natural gift giver, it's not my love language.
Love language. I was just
Um,
gonna say it's not my love language.
it's really not. My husband, it's his love language. He doesn't like to get a gift, but he is intentional about all of his gifts. And it's amazing. Like, how do you, I could not hold that thought in my head for long enough to give you that gift. I keep a little running note on my phone of like, Gordon mentioned he likes this kind of tequila, and that's like the best I can do.
Same.
But the whole process, Christmas is always the most stressful time of year for me. The cards, the designing the cards, ordering them, making sure that you're getting a good price on how you're
Yes.
ordering them, because I'm not going to order them unless I have three different quotes,
Mhm.
and I need to know that it's coming from a printer that like is going to do a good job and I'm not going to get
Yep.
bad product that I don't want to send out. There's so many pieces to it,
So many
right?
things. I don't do those. I don't do
Yeah.
that.
You got your assistant. And she's good at the Canva. I like Canva, but like I don't have 3 hours to fall into the weeds of creating a card. I
I
just don't.
don't. And also the same with our for example, speaking of, it can be the same thing with gifts. It can be the same things for stationery. It can
Mhm.
be the same thing for like our client reports. She has our company, what do you call it? Like our company brand kit with
Mhm.
our logos and our colors and our fonts. And so I can hand her a report in a Word doc or on a Google Word doc, and she can hand me back some beautiful company branded, color schemed, perfect Canva thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. That's exactly how I work with my assistant. I'm like, here's the words.
You're the
And
worst.
she sends me back something that is branded and it's branded exactly the way that we need it, and then helps me with the document management of it. Like if you've got all these documents, where are you filing them? If they're updated, we keep a little like a list of where our most important assets are. So like if we have to update them, we know where to update them in our drive. And like that's all so much mental work
Yeah,
that we can't do when we're also trying to run the business.
absolutely. I mean, it's game changer.
Yeah.
Truly, truly a game changer.
Yeah. Um, so you've been through a unique situation, and I want to touch on this because
Mhm.
I think it's a unique thing that we do
Mhm.
in, first of all, we employ people. So your situation was your assistant went out on leave,
Yeah.
and because we employ, we believe in giving people believe they need and keeping their jobs for them when they come back. Whereas a contractor would be, oh, you're on leave, we can't hold the position for you.
Mhm.
In this position, we of course wanted her to come back. You wanted her to come back. But we were able to match you with another assistant to kind of support you during that time. Tell me what that transition looked like for you. And if there's any bad parts of it, also tell me that, because I'm
Mhm.
interested to know.
I think the bad parts were on me in thinking that I was grown and could handle it by myself while my assistant was out on lead. I'm not, and I couldn't. And so it was a situation where um, I work with my assistant for about 10 hours a week.
Mhm.
And while they were out on leave, I thought maybe I could just manage on my own and just pick up all the things that she does in the meantime. Because I did want her to come back, and so I just wanted to make sure that it was just set back for her. However, honestly, in conversation with you, it was just kind of like, no, 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 you're gonna break something. And with my assistant, I was just like, you're gonna break something. So I had an opportunity to work with another assistant in the interim for just like a simple 5 hours. And it just made sure that nothing really fell out the bottom,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Like it was an opportunity that turned into this absolute dream come true, absolute fantastic event for for our company that was a short-term project.
Mhm.
And so we had set up some systems in place before my assistant went out on leave to handle things like calendaring. She also helps with like travel. We're a consulting firm, so I travel a lot for work. And my assistant can handle anything from booking flights or booking hotels or things like that. My assistant also knows that if I'm on a plane for 4 hours to the East Coast, like that's my best time to get a writing done because I can't go anywhere. And so she'll put things on my calendar that says, work on this report while you're on the plane, things like that. And so before she went out on leave, she just kind of set all the travel for the year, which was incredibly helpful. So I didn't have to, I mean, there were small things here and there, but the calendar was set, the travel was set, social media was set months out in advance. Like it was a really set up well situation.
Hmm.
Being able to transition temporarily to another assistant for a shorter amount of time, for about 5 hours per week, simply allowed like the gears to keep rolling, if that makes sense. It just allowed everything, in case there was any hiccups, in case there was some complex calendaring thing that occurred, there was someone there who had all the same skills, all the same, just like jump in and take care of things, perspective that just allowed it just allowed the train to keep going,
Yeah.
way better than I could have done it. So I think it was immensely successful. But what I will add is that for the summer, our company was planning a book launch event. So I wrote two books actually that came out this year, wrote them last year, but they came out this year. I know, surprise. I'll send you some copies.
Yeah.
But we had a book launch at the end of the summer in August, and it was a really tight project, meaning it was finding the vendor, finding a location, booking catering, decor, posters, things, balloons, whatever. It was a very tight project. That I didn't necessarily have the capacity to do or plan by myself. But having someone who could call the hotel and double check a particular ask about something, or get three quotes from different caterers, or to hear, my ideas and my plans or my vision for this event, and then just be like, here's these posters, or here's, I found this option at Staples, but here's the same option at UPS. Like just having someone else who could take the vision of this tight, clean project and help me execute it was more than I can say.
Hmm. Yeah, event planning is like you wouldn't plan a wedding on your own, right? Like we call in people to help us with all of those pieces, and doing an event is very, very similar. Like there's so many things. You need a second person to be like, did you
Yes.
get the posters and the balloons?
Yes. And
Now,
yes, exactly.
yeah. I when I got married, I was like, oh, I just need like these three things and then we're fine. And by the day of the wedding, I was like, oh shoot, I forgot all of these things. It was COVID era. It was,
Yeah.
but I showed up to my pre-wedding pictures and the photographer was there to do pictures while we're getting ready. And I'm wearing literally a pair of like cutoff shorts with a chocolate stained handprint on the butt from where I had like wiped my hand from an RX bar because that's the kind of monster I am. And I was like, oh, I didn't plan this because I didn't have somebody else to be like, did you think about this? Because I was like, I can do this on my own. And you
Yeah.
can't. You're going to miss a detail and you're going to
Yeah.
miss an important detail. And those photos are absolutely adorable. You can't tell there's a chocolate hand stain on my butt. And the shirt I was wearing actually ended up being like a shirt that we had gotten on a trip together. So it was, but you need that extra, you need that person. You need that person to be there and help you plan events.
You really, really do. And it was just so helpful to have someone. I mean, even think about it, for if you've planned a wedding, or maybe a major graduation party for someone, or like a major birthday party for a parent. Like you've planned a thing before. Do you really just, I mean, maybe you have a caterer in your family, but you know how much time it takes to Google caterers? Especially this was in a different state. This was a party that we were holding in California,
Oh
and we were
gosh.
based in Virginia, right?
Right.
So like you just someone else who could Google caterers and check out reviews.
Right.
That alone,
Gosh, in a whole nother state because you don't even know, like you're like, oh, this caterer sounds good. And next thing you know, you're paying $200 in travel fees because they're not even in the same part of the state, like those are the things you need someone else to help you think through.
exactly, exactly. And it just saves you so much of that mental, emotional labor
Hmm.
of being like, okay, I'm only going to review the ones that my assistant put here in our doc, because that's like I I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. That is awesome. So how did the event go? Did it go
Oh,
well?
it was lovely. It was just a like wild beyond belief success. Absolutely amazing, wonderful, fantastic. Loved every moment of it. Probably the like professional highlight of my year. It was absolutely fantastic.
Awesome. And I didn't know you were planning that, and I didn't know you were planning that when we matched you over the summer.
Oh,
Um,
really?
but that particular assistant does have event planning
Yes.
experience. So a lot of assistants do. Like, I feel like it's something we get called on to do pretty often. And even if we're not called on to do it pretty often in our roles, we
Hmm.
at least have like planned a wedding or a major event in our lives and can help you figure it out. Um,
Yeah.
but that's interesting. I didn't realize that she was helping you with that this summer.
It was something that I thought I was going to be able to do by myself. And literally right before my assistant went on leave, I was like, I think it was actually her recommendation of like, no, 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 just let somebody else help you with this. And
Mhm.
help became like, here's some catering options, here's some venue options. It's California, so just sticker price, just be prepared.
Yeah.
Somebody to walk me through that. Or to say, okay, well, there's delivery costs and balloons. I think the balloons are extra and they're really expensive nowadays. Have you seen these balloon statues? They're gorgeous, but they'll cost you $500. Like it's amazing.
And it's
Like
also just putting more plastic into the world. I have feelings
like,
about these.
it's so much going on. And so it's just being able to, it was, I think so much of it being a wonderful event
Mhm.
was the help that I had.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love to hear that. And so I feel like at first, when we found out your assistant was going on leave, there was a little hesitation.
Mhm.
And we hear that a lot, like, oh, I can do it on my own. And here's the deal, like you can do it on your own for 2 weeks, right? Like
Mhm.
we don't train a backup assistant because that's going to cost everybody a lot of time and money. And our assistants as employees are required to give us notice if they're going on vacation. So they're going to work with you and make sure that you have the notice and everything is ready to go. And so when people are like, "Oh, well, do I get coverage if my assistant is on vacation?" The answer for me is usually no. Like you will be okay for a week if your assistant is out. And if you're not, then we've got another issue that we need to look at. You
Yes,
might
I
need
agree.
an additional assistant. But you should be okay for 2 weeks. But on a 3, 4, 5 month leave, you're
Mhm.
not going to be okay.
Mhm.
You're going to think it's okay. Your assistant's going to be like, I've made all these memos for you. It'll be fine. But then you actually have to do the things. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you were open to
Me too.
have an interim assistant.
Me too. And she was also just wonderful to work with and just so kind-hearted and creativity skills beyond any like I say all the time, our social media this summer was chef's kiss. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that being said, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so we are at the Luster Company pretty much everywhere. So thelustercompany.com, on Instagram at the Luster Company, on LinkedIn at the Luster Company, and honestly, it may be on Facebook at the Luster Company, but that's about it.
Okay.
Not a heavy social media presence, so but you can find us, and if anybody has ever any interest, our website, thelustercompany.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with me today. Do you have any closing thoughts?
If you're thinking about getting an assistant, that is usually the indicator that you should go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Hmm.
If the
Yep.
thought has occurred to you, that's probably something inside of you saying that you need it. But that would be my only advice.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm always open to talking about how an assistant can work with you, whether or
Mhm.
not our types of services are right. Like we are kind of a more like higher level executive assistant. Like
Mhm.
we're not just your task doer. So a little bit different the way we do it. But I love talking about how you can actually get help. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dominique. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much.